Okay, can everybody see that and hear me okay? Great. So good afternoon, I'm Hanna Waterstrat. I'm the director of the State Efficiency and Environmental Performance Office, also known as the SEEP office at the Washington Department of Commerce. Buy Clean and Buy Fair is Commerce agency request legislation. So I'm going to start by providing some background and context, talk a bit about what's in our bill and how we leverage experience gained through recent pilot projects to strengthen this policy and prepare for implementation. And before we really get into it, the bill numbers for ours are Senate Bill 5391 or House Bill 1282. And for anyone that has been following those bills through legislative session, there are substitute versions available now with very minor changes. So I just want to point that out. SEEP is part of the Energy Division at Commerce, and we work in partnership with other commerce programs to strengthen communities in Washington State. So let's start with some basic information about the Buy Clean and Buy Fair policy and what it seeks to do. This bill is designed as a first step to address embodied carbon in state construction projects. As we know, embodied carbon is a significant contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions and requires urgent action to mitigate it. Buy Clean in general is a policy approach that incorporates low carbon purchasing requirements into government procurement of construction materials. The Buy Fair component of Buy Clean and Buy Fair includes additional requirements for reporting on working conditions to promote high labor standards in manufacturing. Buy Clean and Buy Fair policies can also help drive innovation and increase demand for low carbon materials. Washington is currently the only West Coast state without a Buy Clean policy, but it would be the first to complement Buy Clean requirements with Buy Fair requirements that can support good working conditions and manufacturing facilities as the low carbon materials sector grows. So what is Buy Clean and Buy Fair asking us to do? This is a reporting-only bill that requires state agencies to provide data about environmental impacts associated with the production of concrete, steel, and engineered wood products used in state building construction projects, and about working conditions at facilities that manufacture these products. This reporting relies on EPDs that provide environmental data based on life cycle assessment that was independently verified in accordance with ISO standards. EPDs may report a variety of life cycle impacts, including metrics like global warming potential, which is a way of communicating the product's carbon footprint. This bill requires supply chain specific EPDs that capture data from the actual facilities and processes in the product supply chain. This requires that EPDs include data for production processes that contribute 70% or more of a product's global warming potential. This is really important because we want to make sure the data we collect is an accurate reflection of the product's actual carbon footprint. For engineered wood products, the bill does ask for some additional supporting information. The reporting requirements apply to state agency and higher education new building construction projects and major renovations over 50,000 square feet. And if agencies indicate that these reporting requirements would cause significant cost increases or delays, this bill includes a provision that could suspend reporting requirements for specific projects. The Buy Clean and Buy Fair bill also includes other key provisions, including a centralized reporting database to provide accountability and transparency, financial assistance for EPD generation, and ongoing stakeholder engagement through the establishment of a Buy Clean and Buy Fair work group. We're ready to implement Buy Clean and Buy Fair policy in Washington State. And I feel confident in saying this because we've got a bill that reflects experience gained through pilot projects we conducted over the last 2 years. So this policy is more than a concept, it's something we've already tested out. The requirements of this pilot study were outlined in 2 budget provisos from the 2021-23 biennial budget. This work was a partnership with SEEP and the University of Washington Carbon Leadership Forum and included working with pilot projects to report on Buy Clean and Buy Fair data and the development of a prototype database for project disclosures. Our pilot projects included 6 projects at state agencies and higher education institutions. Projects selected included some in the design and construction phases and 1 recently completed project at Western Washington University. These projects used and reported on a variety of different building materials. And when I'm done talking, I will drop a link to the final report from that pilot project so you can check it out in more detail if you'd like to. The reporting requirements ask project teams to provide basic project information, product quantity, a current EPD, health product declarations, manufacturer name and location, some working conditions data, and supplier codes of conduct. And both the health product declaration and codes of conduct are an if any situation. So If they're not available, they don't need to be reported. The reporting database will also be connected to the EC3 tool as an alternative method for uploading data. Here's a screenshot of the user interface for the reporting database. I do apologize that this is kind of small and fuzzy, but just wanted to show that this is the contractor data submittal workflow, and the line in bubbles across the top shows the sequence of pages the contractor must fill out. Before completing pilot projects in the final report, SEEP and the Carbon Leadership Forum met directly with project teams to solicit feedback that could help inform a future Buy Clean and Buy Fair program. So some of the recommendations that we received were that providing model specification would provide a reliable and consistent set of contract requirements and instructions to support reporting requirements, that providing financial assistance for EPDs would support manufacturers to develop those EPDs, that providing educational resources like information on Buy Clean and Buy Fair requirements, EPDs, the reporting database would support more robust implementation of the program and better and more accurate reporting, that having dedicated staff and establishing a go-to contact person for the Buy Clean and Buy Fair program would also support reporting and project teams, and that ongoing stakeholder outreach would be a good opportunity for different stakeholders to share information and get feedback and recommendations, and for us to get feedback and recommendations on policy and to support the growth of the low carbon construction market. I'd like to also acknowledge that during the pilot, we were working with projects that were already underway, and we didn't get all of the data that we asked for. In our follow-up meetings and with project teams, they indicated that this would likely not have been a problem if reporting requirements were incorporated or baked in with bid solicitations and project documents before the projects began, so that the requirements were, officially milestones and deliverables. Lessons learned from this pilot project experience have informed policy development for Buy Clean and Buy Fair. And as you can see, as indicated on the right side here, we've incorporated these recommendations in the proposed legislation. I want to talk a little bit about some other related work. So the state of Washington is now part of a Pacific Coast Collaborative Task Force focused on low carbon construction. The goal of this task force is to develop a shared regional strategy to accelerate innovation, investment, and market development for low carbon materials by leveraging the scale of the Pacific Coast regional economy. The Pacific Coast Collaborative was formed in 2008 to facilitate collaboration on issues that cross state borders and jurisdictional boundaries, and working together to advance climate progress has become the PCC's primary focus. And then I'd also like to point out that Executive Order 2001, which established the SEEP office, already requires state new building construction projects to consider embodied carbon. And thank you, that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.